What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fatherhood Unscripted. We have a very, very exciting talk with today. We've been talking with Bryan here for a while. We're excited to have him on finally. Before we jump into the episode, we want to talk about Bark. You guys know we've been working with Bark now for a few months, and they're going strong, guys. If you guys have kids who are getting older and you don't know if you want to give them a smartphone or not, Bark kind of takes away the scariness and the craziness of the smartphone. They can have all the cool phone, like texting, calls, pictures, apps. They can have all that stuff, but it gives you the ease as a parent to know that whatever they're seeing online is not going to be gross. It's not going to be something scary, and it's not going to be something that's going to destroy their young minds. And it's something they don't need to see. Like, everything that they see on their phone is going to be seen on your phone. You're going to have access to everything they do. It's not spying on your kids. You're not going to be sitting there just watching everything. It's about having an ease of mind at the end of the day that your kids aren't going to be running into something that shouldn't be online. So if you guys want to be getting your kids a phone, smartwatch, or if you want to get the app, if you guys download it, use code unscripted at checkout, and you'll get 15% off your order and have that ease of mind for all the parents that are in the new world. Let's jump to the episode. All right. Well, today we have Mr. Bryan Hurd. We've been talking for a few months now, and we've been really excited to get you on. It's been a busy few months, so we've just been kind of booking later and later. So the conversation happened. I think it's been about a month and a half now that we first talked. But for people who don't know you, can you kind of explain who you are and what you do?
Yeah, excellent. My name's Bryan Hurd, and for all intents and purposes, for this conversation, I'll be talking probably more in the aspect of what I do call in men's work. I run a men's group called the Evolution Project, and I facilitate off-site retreats in different places. And this year, it's really cool. We actually got some really cool, I call them once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. But I've been doing that for the last 5 years. By day, I sell residential real estate. I've done that for almost 20 years. And the common theme to everything in my life is relationships and people and connection. And I've just found that if I can do something I believe in and help people in doing it, I usually find a lot of joy on the other side of that. And so it's kind of cool. Like, you would think, well, what does real estate have to do with men's work? And the reality is like, they are very different modalities, but the truth is they come back to the same thing: relationships, connection, and really being present for people, in times of their life where there's maybe opportunities for growth or transition. So
awesome. Yeah. For like when you're talking about, you set up outreach, or not outreach, is like the events you set up, what kind of events are you talking about? Like is it just for men, or you set up outreaches or events for like families and stuff like that? Or can you talk more into that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel called to serve men. That's kind of where I'm at. What I've been doing for the last 5 years is I've been taking groups of men, typically anywhere from 8 to 12 is the size of the group. And we'll go up I live in Salt Lake. So there's a place called Oakley in Camas. And I found this really awesome place called Camp Oakley. And, the joke is, if I had millions and millions of dollars, it's the thing that I would build. But for a couple $1,000, I can use it for a couple days. And that's pretty dang good. It's really wonderful. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. Last year, we started to kind of expand that. We did a horseback trip up in the Bridger Teton National Forest. It's actually the t-shirt I'm wearing today. And then this year that we got coming up, we've got some really unique things. We're going to do a humanitarian project down in Mexico with building a school with a nonprofit organization. And that's going to be a father-son's experience, because oftentimes when I talk with people and they go to these experiences, they say, do you have anything that I could do with my son or for my son? Or could my wife come to something like this? And so, we're evolving as the men are evolving, so. Yeah.
I think that's awesome, because a lot of times when we speak to dads and stuff, like the high performing dads are like, my kids are always with me on these things. And it shows your kids too, like what dad does first off, instead of kind of guessing what dad does outside the house. And it also shows them like, we want to have this heart of giving. Like we just want to be able to go out to the world and change things.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that our kids, it's one thing what we tell them, but it's a lot more how we live our lives, like they see it all the time. And yeah, that's right. I'm a big believer in direct experience. I say that oftentimes what gets us in trouble is we start living our life in our mind, and we isolate, we go into story, right? And most of the time we make things way worse than they actually are. And my experience has been the fastest way to up level my emotions, right, or get into a higher frequency is usually to get in movement and action. And sometimes that's like just a really good workout. Other times though, it's doing the very thing that I've been putting off forever and realizing it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And I feel great. The endorphin rush of accomplishing that thing, or, stepping up. Right. So
that's the fun part about life, right? Is we all do that. If I do this, this might happen. And we start getting into our own heads. And at the end of the day, it's like the thing is not that big to be worrying about. And if you just do it, you'll realize that. But it's one of the hardest things as humans is to just get past that initial, but I do like that. That's something that I want to do with this podcast, is eventually have some kind of retreat, like a fatherhood retreat, and just go out and camp or do something. Cause I love camping. Me and my kids, we try and go camping as much as we can, and but we need that. Like dads need a refresher every once in a while, because when we don't have that, it's just when we start to overthink and then blow up on things we shouldn't be blown up on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How was that the horseback experience? I haven't rode a horse since I was probably 9 or 10 years old, but that sounds like a really awesome experience.
Yeah, it was cool how it came about. I like to shout out to my friend Adrian. So he came to an evolution project last year in April, and shortly after he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I got this idea I want to run past you." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "My family owns an outfit up in Wyoming." And he's like, "This is one of my favorite places in the world." And I go, elk hunting up there. I've been elk hunting a couple times over the years. And he's like, "These people are, full on cowboys. They've been running an outfit for 25, 30 years. They've got it down." And he goes, "We can take a group of men up. They have an opening in their schedule at the end of July this summer. Would you want to take a group of men up there?" And it was funny because my first thought was like, well, it's, 4 hours away, and I haven't ridden a horse since I was, a teenager. Right. And so I'm like, that's a new experience for me. And I've never been there before. And it's 3.5 days versus 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind started going through like all of these, like, how are you going to do this? And then I just sat back and I was like, well, Bryan, and then I'm like, ask a better question. And the question is, Bryan, is this something you want to do? And I was like, yeah, I do. So I tell Adrian, hey, Adrian, we'll figure it out. I know me and you want to go. I bet we can find a few other guys that want to go with us. And what was crazy is in 2 weeks, we filled the whole thing. And every man that went on that was like, this is exactly what I needed. And it's just something about just being in a rhythm with nature, even riding the horse, right? You're just, you're in a rhythm. And it was kind of like it was its own therapy session in a way. And it was a totally different evolution project. It was totally different than we'd done in the past. And it was perfect for what was appropriate in the situation of what those men needed. We went on a really great hike. We went on horseback rides almost every day. We saw these beautiful just views from the tops of mountains. The food was phenomenal. And just the company. These are guys. I just say there's certain people that, like, when you meet in your life and you shake their hand, it's almost like they're looking into your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And Stuart and Landon, who run it, uh, that's what it feels like. Like Stuart's his dad. And I mean, what's so cool is like, even when they line you up with the horses, they get to know you and then they match your personality with the horse they think will best fit you.
That's cool.
And so there's like this just cool thing always happening. So, it was a really good lesson for me to just say yes.
Mm-hmm.
When opportunities present itself, like I look at my life right now and say, let's pretend I didn't go on the horseback trip last year. Would my life be radically different? I mean, no-ish, right? Like I'd probably still be talking to you. But the flip side is like the just the experience that's kept with me.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, that's like one of the things I'm super looking forward to this next year. Going back and bringing another group of men up in the mountains. Yeah, so it's cool.
Well, and we need to make those experiences in our life because life is so fast paced nowadays that things just go by. Like you hear all the time, like my kids, it seemed like yesterday they were, just babies. Like it goes by so fast, and it's like we in a blink of eye, we don't think about the time we should be taking, and we're just like, oh, I got to go to work, I got to make the money, I got to make sure there's food, and you just do that every day, every day, every day, and you don't take that break in life and to have those experiences. Like something me and my wife have been doing recently is our kids are a little bit older now, so we send them to the grandparents once a year, and we've actually been going on a marriage cruise with a group from our church, and so that we've been doing that the last 2 years, and it's such a good break and just a reconnection of our marriage that just something we've needed and something that has shown us that how not broken but how disconnected we were versus now, like we're taking that time to reconnect. And it's the same thing for men and dads, like just getting out into the woods with other dudes, and just there's a different level versus like when you're at home with your wife and your kids. Like it's awesome that you get to like just have a brotherhood, and just that time of connection. What are some things you guys have planned coming up?
Yeah, so for the next year, like I said, we've got the horseback trip, which I spoke of, and that's going to be towards the end of July. It'll be the 28th of July through the 1st of August. And then my July is going to be crazy, actually, because a week and a half before that, on the 16th of July through the 24th, we're going to be going down to Mexico. It's a place called Chiapas, Mexico. It's just above Guatemala, and there's a nonprofit organization called Cotael, and there's a man named Andrew Mangeris. And 2 years ago, a really good friend of mine named Kirk Chug, who runs a podcast called The Gentleman Project, did a podcast with Andrew and said, we're going to take a group of people to go down to Mexico and go build a school. And it was anybody, right? It was like, it wasn't like a specific demographic. And what's funny is I initially signed up to go with my son because I thought, oh, this will be a great experience. And then he's like, I don't really want to go. So I'm just casually talking to my wife, and I'm like, hey, is this something you might be interested in? And she's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And so for our 20-year anniversary,
Awesome.
we went down and we helped build a school that helps indigenous communities that are up in the mountains. And, education is one of the best ways to change the trajectory of someone's life, especially these people are growing up in poverty, right? Like they're kind of doing what their parents did, and it's very agricultural. They're living on like $150 a month, to give you kind of concept of this. And a lot of these guys through education have started businesses and companies of building cinder blocks and cement work and internet and just other types of, one of them started a pizza company. But they've all been graduates of this program that's funded through Cotael. So when I was down there, one of the guys that run it, his name is Edich, and he's from Mexico. And so he's kind of like the boots on the ground in Mexico. And Andrew's the guy in the United States, gathering the people and coming down, right? And I became really good friends with both of them. And at the end of it, I told Edich, I was like, I'll be back and I'm going to bring a group of men with their sons and we're going to build a school. And I gave him one of my bracelets. Like I don't have a bracelet on today, but I gave him this bracelet and I said, I promise you, we will be back. And a couple months ago, I called up Andrew and I said, hey, it's time. It's time to do it, you know? And so we're gathering that group. And it specifically is a father and son's experience. The first 3 days we will be working on the school. The other 3 days we'll be exploring the jungle and waterfalls and ruins and eating awesome food in different places. But it's like it's the off places of Mexico. This is not Cancun and Puerto Vallarta and dance clubs and nice hotels, right? Like this is a very different experience. And, it's one that my wife and I went on 2 years ago. And I will tell you, it's a memory that I'll hold for the rest of my life. And so I started to get onto this concept of, I want to create once in a lifetime memories, those memories that don't go away. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the place you go, the environment you go to, right? I think that's part of it. But then the other part of it is the people that you go and then the meaning that you give to it. Right. And to me, something that always feels right is service. Something that always feels right is adventure. Something that always feels right is something that's going to expand my soul. And what I found is travel and culture are really good modalities to like open that up a little bit. And then when the heart is open, that's when the stuff can really start flowing, right? We do these things called soul circles or circles of truth is what we call them. And it's like an opportunity where as a man, you can say something to the group. It's usually around a campfire. And there is no coaching. There are no questions. There are no input, right? It's not like, Steve goes and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, Steve, when you said that, here's something I really want to share with you that I think would be good for you. Nobody says anything. And it's like so unique and rare where you can be in the presence of 10 or 12 other men and you can say something out loud that you may have never said out loud before. And nobody's trying to fix you. Nobody's trying to coach you. You are fully embraced with presence. And you just get to sit in it. And, these are the moments that I just believe add depth to people's lives because they have a direct experience. The heart is open and it's just enough that they can start to have the real conversation versus the mask, right? Of I'm okay, I'm fine, it's all good, doing just great, like, and by the way, and you can also share a win. Like you can also share something you're really proud of. You can say, dude, I've been working so hard on my marriage over the last couple of years. And dude, I had an experience this last month with my wife that I never thought I would have. And I'm so grateful that all this work that I've been doing is starting to manifest in other areas of my life. It can be that too, right? It doesn't always have to be. I think what's so interesting is one of the stigmatisms around men's work is like, oh, it's only for people that are broken. It's only for people that their life isn't going well, or they just got a divorce, or they have a pornography addiction, or they grew up in a really rough environment, or right. It's like fill in the blank. And it's like, I sit there and think, no, it's for everybody. All of you is invited to this conversation. And what's going to happen on the other side of it, hopefully, is connection, healing, higher self-worth, higher self-love, a new paradigm, a new mindset to come back into your life, and be like, I'm ready to trade in that pair of shoes that I've been wearing for a long time, and I don't have to do it by the irony is, this is the saying I always tell the men, you can't do it by yourself, but the truth is nobody's going to do it for you. And that is the hard, real truth about this thing called life and called, growth and men's work and how, whatever you want to put to it, discipleship. That is the real truth. And so I just believe that through direct experience, through, through giving voice to the things I feel inside, like that's how I start to evolve,
Mhm.
you know, and
I like
become.
what you said. It's just like there's not a lot of space. Well, there's too much space for men's problems, and that's really all we focus on a lot of times. But there's not a lot of space for the wins, and it is awesome that you're making a space for that, because it's always about, oh, what's wrong in his life, what's he going through, not versus like, oh, you did this, awesome, like let's celebrate you. It's always the negative, and I think that's why a lot of us all do go to the, yeah, I'm good, and we don't want to talk about anything else, you know. So it's really awesome that you're doing that.
I think it's, you know what I think is true that I'm finding is the power of and
Mhm.
that two truths can exist in the same space that could feel polar opposite of each other,
Mhm.
but they both can still be true. And, you know, creating the space where you can have multiple truths existing in one container, where it's like, yeah, that man might, the most important thing he might need to say is, I'm hurting right now. And then there might be another man that the most important thing he could say is, I'm winning right now. And it feels so good. And in that container, both people can be received fully. And it's like you've got a cheerleader for the guy that needs help. Hey, I'm here for you, brother. I can just sit with my presence. And you got the guy over here where you go, hell yeah. And give him a high five and go, how's that feel? Dude, it feels so good. I love that, you
Mhm.
know, and like cheering, because I think that women do this so much better than men, by the way.
Yeah.
Women do this so much better than men. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the magic. It's part of the gift.
I think with the women's side of things, it's very not dramatic, but it's very over the top with a lot of things, where men were like, oh yeah, cool. That's awesome. That's something we've tried to do with the podcast, is we just want to make that community for guys just to come and talk, and like, because we get a lot of, most of the feedback we get from the podcast is like, man, I didn't know something like this was out there. But when you start digging, like the people we've met through this, there's so much, but it's just not talked about. Like it's still under like a blanket, like it's just kind of hidden still, where what you're doing, what we're doing, it just needs to be pushed out there into the world to show guys that A, they're not alone, and B, like it's okay to talk about wins and losses in life, you know. It's cool you're doing that work. And but for if there's any guys listening to this that want to kind of be able to find a place like what for you do or what we do, what advice would you give them to kind of like step out of that comfort zone to maybe want to go on these kind of trips?
Yeah, I mean, uh, here's the dichotomy or the irony or the paradox. Let's call it the paradox. The paradox of men's work, right? Um, Here's what men usually say: the resistance. I don't have time to do it, right? Um, they feel guilty about being away from their family for a period of
Mhm.
time. Um, they don't want to invest in themselves financially, right? And they think that they're doing good enough, right? And so they kind of like prolong it, but like underneath the tone of that is like they're absolutely dealing with stuff, right? But they view it as my stuff isn't like I'm just going to make stuff up, right? Like, well, I don't really have a pornography addiction, so I don't know if I need to go to that. Uh, I have a decent relationship with my dad growing up. My parents didn't get a divorce. Uh, my wife and I get along pretty good. Um, like it's not great, but like we get along good enough, and it's okay. We like each other. We're just raising kids. That's just what it is.
Mhm.
Uh, I like my job, but I don't love it. But that's just kind of what everybody does, right? So it's like these like subsurface. They ultimately are like counteracting themselves, right? And then they ultimately just don't create the space to do it. And the reality is like if you don't go, you just don't know. You don't have perspective on that. I would tell you most men, it's like you could start but just by listening to a podcast or reading a book. I think that's a great place to start because
Mm.
just like you said, you start to realize, oh, wait, there are things out there. And then I'd say, kind of follow your heart. One of the activities we're doing at the end of this year is we're going on a backpacking trip in southern Utah for a weekend. And there's kind of two reasons we're doing that one. One, it just sounds like a freaking sweet adventure. Just to let you know, the filter that I run everything through is it something that I want to go do this year? And if the answer is yes, then I just partner with people and we go do it.
There you go.
And I invite people to come along. Because so selfishly, I guess I'm scratching my own itch. But I can also tell you, they're like adventures that are unique, right? They're going to be things. It's like for the example, the backpacking trip, a lot of the purpose behind that is I just wanted to do something that was affordable for everybody. These other trips that I'm doing, they are expensive. Like the trip to Mexico is $3,200. The trip to the horseback ride, the $3,500. They're not cheap, but I'll also tell you there's a reason they're not cheap because we're going to do, like I'm hiring an outfit with horses and cooks. Like it's not like a little small get together, right? Like these are real experiences. We're flying to Mexico. We're staying in hotels. We're funding the project to build a school. It costs $50,000 to $60,000, right? And so one of my goals is to fund a school. So the goal is I want to get about 25 people to come, and I want to try to fund a school. That's what I want to do. Now, not 100% of the money doesn't go towards the school, but a portion of everyone doing it goes towards the school, right? So anyway, where am I going with this? I'm ultimately going with is I want everyone to come, right? There's no qualification. The qualification is you raise your hand, you have the courage, you will bet on yourself, and you'll go and you'll play full out. That's it. No time for guys like, look, man, if you're like, I don't want to convince anybody to come. That's the truth. One of my favorite lines that I tell people is, as I say, you're a grown ass man and you can make your own decisions, and you should make decisions for yourself, right? You should do this. Like, if you want to do it, you should do it. Go for it.
I think that's the hardest part. It's like everybody, like you said, they filter it and they're like, well, but no, it's something I want to do too. Like me and DJ, we found out there's a pirate ship that you can rent for like a group of dudes and just be out on the ocean and just be like living as like a pirates for like 4 or 5 days. How cool would that be?
Yeah, dude. Totally. Exactly. And and that's what I tell you. And if that sounds like something you're like, DJ, I'd want to go do that. Do it. And then just start telling people, hey, we're going to go hang out on a pirate ship in the ocean. We're going to fish and eat food and whatever the things you're going to do, right? And what I found is like, that's how you gather the tribe. I think what's so funny is people try to reverse engineer it the other way, right? They're like, well, what do men need? What's something broad? And what they try to do is they try to create something that's broad for everyone, right? And my joke, my thought is, if you market to everyone, you market to no one.
Right.
So like, I know that the Evolution Project is a vibe that some people are going to hit and some people are not going to hit. And my take is like, hallelujah that there's a lot of other people out there doing things like that you might identify more with. Hallelujah, right? Like, that's wonderful. Because what I found is as I've gotten more specific on like who we cater to and what we do, the quality and the caliber of the men that are coming in the experience, it's freaking awesome. Because they want to be there. They're like the people that are like, hell yeah, I want to go ride a horse for 4 days. You know what I mean? I'm not convincing them. They're just like, it was so funny when we gathered the group last year. The thing that broke a barrier in my mind, because I was like, dude, men aren't going to be able to spend this much money and they're not going to want to go for 4 days. And the thing that blew my mind is everyone that I talked to, it was like they said yes within the first 5 minutes. They were like, I'm in. And I'm like, well, do you want to know how much it is? Do you want to know? No, I'm in. Like, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience.
And that's the people you want to go, because you don't, like you said, you don't want to have that guy who's like, well, he's like wishy-washy about being there. He's like, well, I wish I wasn't here. Like, no, you want people that are fully in, like, let's go be cowboys. Let's do this
Yeah.
thing, you know?
Yeah. Let's go be pirates. Right.
Yeah.
You know what else I found that's kind of interesting too is like, just loving and accepting everyone exactly where they're at as part of that too. You know, it's funny. Some of my really, really, really good friends haven't ever gone to the Evolution Project, right? It doesn't mean that they don't love me, that they're not my friend, like all this stuff. It just means it doesn't call to them. And I can still go on a hike with them or play pickleball or go to a basketball game. You know what I mean? Like there's not, it's not like this contingency upon our relationship. And I've also met some guys that I didn't ever know. And through this experience, I've gotten to know them and gone like, this guy's awesome. Like this is a guy that's like my brother now, you know? So it's really cool.
Well, it's those experiences, like when you share them with people, they're just like you said, there's experiences that they mark your life. You're like, yeah, I'm going to remember this forever. And that's something we all need.
Yeah. I have a question for you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the name of the podcast, Fatherhood Unscripted. Is there like a story behind the name of your podcast?
So originally it was called Church Daddies. And we were going to talk about our childhood experiences. But we're like, well, I don't know about that name. But no, it's just everyone wants to read a book on being a dad. Everyone wants to watch videos and take courses, and being a dad's unscripted. And there's no script to this. Everyone does it differently. I can write you a book on everything I've done, but it's not going to help you in the slightest. Your kids are different than my kids. And so that's what it is. It's just for dads. It's just the scripted nature of fatherhood and how every day is different. And that's the name behind it.
Well, I like it. I like it. No offense to church daddies, but I definitely identify with it more. I love your logo, how it has a tree that's like deeply rooted and like big and providing shade. And I really I really thought that was awesome. So it's great. Thank you.
I've played with it a couple times. We've changed it up a little bit, but it always comes back to like, I want to, like the roots need to have it, because as long as there's that strong foundation in what we're doing, I feel like as dads, we're going to be able to make our kids' lives better. And that's the whole point behind it, is just to make sure we're showing up, our presence is felt, and we're there when our kids need us.
Yeah. Do you know something I kind of want to backtrack on?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking. When you asked me at the beginning, you're like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. I immediately went into Evolution Project mode because I'm like, oh, I'm on here to talk about the Evolution Project. Let's just backwind up a little bit. The real truth is at the most simple core, I tell people I'm a child of God. That's like, I know that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And of all the things I could tell you that I actually am, that's the one that I'm like, oh, I always come back to that. Like, I'm a child of God. I got a father that loves me on earth and in heaven. I got a wife named Chandy that we've been married for 22 years. And she really is the most important person in my life. And I love living life with her. She's amazing. And then I got 4 boys. God blessed us with 4 boys. And I got Camden, I got Roston, I got Colin, and then I got Anders. And those ages are 20, 18, 16, and 6. So we have a 10-year gap between our 3rd and our 4th child, which is a long conversation for another day. But the short version is, yes, it was unplanned. And yes, it was one of the best blessings of our life. And, you know, the Evolution Project kind of stemmed from this place where, you know, I believe God like puts things in our hearts, and then we have the choice to answer the call or to like keep it there, you know? And I always felt called to serving men. You know, I ran a real estate team and most of it was guys, you know? And I've just always felt that I've had really good examples of a father that loved me and I thought was a good example, and 2 really great grandfathers and an awesome father-in-law. I felt like I would have been remiss not talking about really like the most important core foundation of like who I really am, right? I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a brother, uh, I'm a disciple of Christ, and I'm just going through life trying to do the best I can,
Mhm.
just like everybody else. And I have wins and I have losses, and overall, life is beautiful. And I think the key is when we can see the beauty in all of it. I think one of these like I said, going back to kind of this concept of people often like associate their life with this was good, this was bad, right?
Mhm.
And they can give you like, because one of the things that's unique about our species, humans, is that we can put meaning to things, right? So I can have an experience and go, that was a bad experience. And then somebody else can have the exact same experience and say, man, that was a really challenging experience and it completely changed my life. And I'm so glad it happened, you know? And that is what's unique about humans. And then what we do is we create identity around stories. And then we just keep, embedding that identity and the attachment we have to it until one day we're like, I don't know if that works anymore for me. And to me, that is when life really starts to take off. The awareness to, um, I'm not what's happened to me, right? I'm a conscious contributor to this thing called my life. And I'm enjoying it and I'm being challenged and everything in between. And so I think that's a message I wish I could just share with every man because I think so much what leads to depression and anxiety and numbness ultimately is our inability to sit with and feel all of our emotions. And they get repressed. And then when these things get repressed, they sit inside of us. And, that's not good for any type of species or thing, right? So we just have to work through these things. And we do. And we will. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's when that true happiness can kick in and just be like, when you do realize that emotions are there for a reason, and when you can start to kind of use those emotions instead of letting them use you. It's kind of like when I've had Chris Murley on, he's talking about the kind of emotions. Like, we see this one, but it actually is this. And if we look at it as this,
Yeah.
that's when life can change.
Yeah. Curtis has done a really good job creating frameworks
Mm-hmm.
to shift paradigms with people. And uh, I know Curtis. I like Curtis. Good dude. And the work that he's doing, I think, is really helpful for
Mm-hmm.
people to, I would say cerebrally process something. But then I think what happens is when you have a new paradigm, you can start to have new experiences with it, right? But I think the change usually happens in the head and the heart, right? It's kind of simultaneously doing. And the more that we can create that connection and flow with it, the more we can find like, oh yeah, my brain serves a purpose and my heart serves a purpose. And you know, there's a symbiosis to it.
I love that. Well, kind of as we kind of keep these around 40, 45 minutes. For
It's
people who
great.
want to reach out to you and are interested in the Evolution Project, where can they find you first off? And where can
Yeah.
they reach out if they want to kind of get into it?
So I would tell you our website is myevolutionproject.com. And our Instagram hashtag is the Evolution Project. And you'll see this cool little logo, which let's see if I got it on here. I don't have the logo on here, but it's this like circle kind of logo. It's black and white. It says the Evolution Project. You'll see my pretty face probably somewhere in the Instagram thing. And I would tell you that's a great place to start. On the website, it will have our activities that are coming up this next year and how you can join and be a part of it. So, yeah.
Awesome. And then we kind of like to end these with a little bit of advice. So if there's a dad who's going through the thick of it, or a guy who's going through the thick of it and just kind of wants to find his way out of it in a good way and wants to start getting connected with people, what is something that you would say to him to kind of push him in that right direction?
So, the first thing I would say to him is congratulations. Congratulations, man. Like, what a beautiful place to be. Usually people change because they want to or they have to. And if you're in a place you got to change because you have to, great. And if you're in a place you got to change because you want to, great. You can't do it by yourself and no one's going to do it for you, right? Life is nothing more than an invitation. That's the truth. We are constantly being invited into a conversation. I believe ultimately with our higher self. And we have those moments where we get a ping in the heart and it goes, the trajectory that my life is on right now isn't going to ultimately get me to what I want. Those are the cracks or the beginning of the real conversation that you're actually having with life. Because now you're aware and you're awake and you're like, okay. And I also believe that's where God can really manifest and show his hand the most too. And so, the advice that I give the man that's in it right now is, as weird as this sounds, like, congratulations. And then the advice I'd give him is what's the invitation? What's your higher self? What's your future self inviting you into right now? Lean into that, and who knows, maybe that might be coming to the Evolution Project. That'd be great. And who knows, that might be going on a pirate cruise. Or the 100 other things that are out there, right? That might just be calling up a really good buddy and saying, dude, I need some help right now. Be a lot of things. And awesome. Like you are in the conversation now. I honor that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on here and just speaking into men. And thank you for everything that you do for men, because we definitely need it. And there's like I said, there is a lot of stuff out there, but there's not a lot of people out there actually doing it and going and just saying yes to doing things and living life. And you're just doing that, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and Alex, here's kind of an invitation I'll throw out there. I don't know if do you have any sons, Alex?
I do. I have.
How old are they?
My son is. Oh, I almost said 8. That's my daughter. He's 9.
Okay, he's probably too young to take to Mexico. The kids we're taking to Mexico, ideally, they're like 12 to 18. Because it is kind of manually intensive. But here's what I tell you, man. I'd love for you to come to one of the things we have going. I mean, we can talk more offsite on that, but just want to tell you, I honor and appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
50% of the population on this planet are men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what percentage are fathers, but the reality is that's the call all men need to answer. If you've got kids and you're a father, step up.
Mm-hmm.
The responsibility is too great. And you don't have to do it by yourself. There's men like Alex and Bryan and lots of other men that want to help you, and God wants to help you. That's the biggest thing.
Well, that's something that we are sons first. And I think people need to understand that. Like, we got a big daddy up there, and we're sons first, and we need to learn that. So, well, thank you, sir. For everyone that's listening,
brother.
Go check out Bryan. Go be a cowboy. Go be a pirate. Do something. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Love y'all.